In this video, we are going to be talking about the different foods and the different feelings you may be feeling in different parts of your cycle. So keep watching. I want you to get empowered with understanding your cycle. If you are not following us on Instagram, what the heck, where are you? This is one of my favorite series that I've been taking people through to help them get empowered and feel awesome about their cycle. Because while we're on a roller coaster, it's nice to understand what's going on. I know I thrive when I understand what's going on. And so I want to first talk about the different vibes that come with different parts of your cycle. And I find that when I really realized that how I was feeling and my different mood shifts, not in an intense way, but even like, oh, I'm feeling more introverted in this part of my cycle, I felt so empowered and like, okay, it's normal to feel this way. That's what I want you to feel. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about the follicular phase. The follicular phase is days 1 through ovulation. So let's say 14, but this can range, obviously, if you have longer cycles. But on average, days 1 through 14 is your follicular phase. So that includes the bleeding and then includes the time before you actually ovulate, okay? So in this phase, estrogen gets really, really high. It is your dominant hormone because it's prepping your body for ovulation. Now, what that comes into with your mood, your vibes, is that you're going to be really outgoing and extroverted, and you're feeling more social. You're feeling like you're a little bit more spontaneous. You want to do things. And so you're more apt to go out and make plans. You're more apt to also feel really strong in your workouts, lots of energy. Your follicular phase, you are thriving. Not saying you're not thriving in your luteal phase, which is ovulation to the day before you start your next period. But man, it's a different type of feel. And also as a business owner or anyone else who's just naturally creative, you feel so much more creative. Your creative juices are flowing in your follicular phase, which is so awesome. And honestly, it goes into ovulation. Ovulation, you're still feeling energized. You're still feeling that like high on, you're having higher estrogen levels, but you're also now getting a little flirty and a little bit more in the mood. You might notice your libido is increasing, and that's also normal because you're ovulating. So it's your body's natural way of saying, hey, it's time to get freaky with your partner. So you're really dressing up here in the ovulation phase, feeling your best self, feeling confident. And then luteal phase happens after ovulation and to the day before you start your next cycle. So the day before you start bleeding. And so here, progesterone is the rock star. That's the thing that's going to be increasing. Estrogen dips a little bit after ovulation and increases slightly, not as high as it did in the first phase, but increases slightly in the second half. But progesterone is definitely the rock star. And then obviously both hormones come to a crash right before your cycle, and that's the reason why you start bleeding. But with the luteal phase comes that Netflix and chill, and like literally chill, not like chill. That's ovulation. You want to be in sweats. You're a little bit more introverted. Your creative juices aren't flowing as much. You have a little bit more of a bloat, and you have a higher appetite as well. So if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so ravenous in the second part of my cycle, guess what? That's really normal, and that's a-okay. So you're going through, as you can see, really high highs, and then you also might be hitting some low lows. Now, I love cycle syncing because you can, in certain aspects, change your lifestyle, which I will do another video on exercise about this, but you can change your lifestyle based on that. And it's really empowering to women because then you can really get in tune with how you feel and make decisions of, should I do a date night or should I do a girls' weekend when I know I'm going to be in my luteal phase where I might not be as spontaneous and I might want to be more introverted. And as crazy as that sounds, you are living your best life when you are cycle syncing. So let's talk about the foods because I do want to cover that. Like what foods really are best in each part of your cycle. Ovulation, I don't have anything. I'm just going to talk about follicular and luteal. So in the follicular phase, especially during bleeding and after bleeding, you really want to prioritize high iron foods. So these are things like your grass-fed beef and organic chicken and wild-caught seafood. Really want to emphasize grass-fed beef here because of the iron. We really want to deplete our iron stores, and beef definitely is the rock star. No, friends, sorry, not spinach. Beef is going to be a rock star, which is why I always tend to have a burger on my heavy bleeding days. So high quality beef and protein for that iron, and then pairing that with citrus fruits because it helps our body absorb iron better. So marinating your steak in lemon juice or orange juice or something like that to help get those vitamin C levels to help increase iron. And then you also want to make sure you're getting enough healthy fats to create the backbone of estrogen. Because remember, cholesterol and healthy fats are the backbone to your sex hormones. So you want to make sure you're eating things like wild-caught seafood here, or healthy nuts, or pumpkin seeds, or avocados, just making sure you're getting those healthy fats for supporting your estrogen production. And then you also want to make sure that you are getting enough cruciferous vegetables because this is going to help support your liver and detoxifying your estrogen, because there's different pathways that estrogen can go down, and cruciferous vegetables like your broccoli and kale and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, all of those are going to help shift your body into choosing a more protective pathway, which is amazing. So there is that. And then you also want to help support your gut health in this area too, because that's phase 3 detox of your hormones. And so you want to make sure you're getting the prebiotic foods like yogurt and fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, pickles, and make sure that we're re-inoculating our gut with good bacteria. So that's a little bit of the follicular foods that you want to focus on from day 1 to day 14 ovulation. So moving on to luteal phase, now we're at after ovulation to the day before you start bleeding again, and you're in that Netflix and chill vibe. Well, carbs here are really great, complex carbs. They can really help minimize your cravings, because a lot of people tend to have a lot of carb cravings. So making sure that you are doing starchy vegetables and legumes, sweet potatoes, all those healthy carbs. And this will also help with your bigger appetite. Because remember, your body is kind of preparing for a potential baby. So it's helping you get nourished and making sure that you are staying your appetite on point for a potential baby. So make sure you eat those complex carbs. Now you also want to bring in some B6 foods, because B6 is really important for progesterone production. So these are also going to be things like eggs and sweet potatoes and tuna and salmon and chickpeas and all those heavy B6 foods, as well as your electrolytes start to fall in the luteal phase as well. Not intensely, obviously, but we do want to help support that. So you can use things like Element or Liquid IV or Nun tablets. I never know how to pronounce that. I really need to figure out how to pronounce that. Anyways, those electrolyte supplements can also be very helpful, or you can get it through a food which is more natural, things like coconut water and oranges and bananas and avocados. All of these have naturally occurring electrolytes, and make sure that you're salting your food. A lot of people ask me as a nutritionist because fats and salt have been demonized for so long. And when you're eating real wholesome foods, you're not going to have a salt problem from what I see in most people. A lot of the salt problems come from the frozen meals and all the processed packaged foods. But when you're eating fresh food, you need to very generously make sure that you're salting your vegetables and your meats. And this really helps because it gives us sodium as well as just electrolyte support that naturally fall in the luteal phase. So make sure that you are using high quality salt and you are salting your food. So those are some foods. I will be back in a couple weeks to talk about the exercise component of it, because I love exercising and cycle syncing. Those are awesome. But right now, make sure that you feel into your feels when you are in part of your cycle, and you are focusing in on those foods we talked about in certain parts of your cycle, and you are on a great head start.